Welcome to the interview series of Super Resources Academy. My name is Perseus Udachia, and I am the founder of Super Resources Academy and a leadership communication coach. Through this interview series, we invite leaders from all walks of life trying to understand their perspective when it comes to effective, powerful communication. Today, we have a very special guest. This person has sailed the seas for over 20 years as a Marine captain. He has also been on the education side where he's been very instrumental when it comes to developing these junior officers, to get into the sea services. After spending about 30 years and sailing the oceans, he entered the professional world. 2019 is where he joined a company called Qualitia Software Private Limited, one of the leaders in the test automation space. And the person I'm talking about is none other than Abhijeet Avate, who's the Chief Operating Officer of Qualitia Software. So, welcome, Abhijeet. It's such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, Perseus. Thank you very much for inviting me, and it's wonderful to see you.
Wonderful, Abhijeet. Same here. Now, Abhijeet, you've had so much of experience across industries. What I want to really understand from you is, has there been an instance in your life where you feel that effective communication, the ability to inspire, motivate, and influence people has added a lot of value to your future career advancement? So, do you recall anything like that? Anything that you would like to share with our audiences today?
Yeah, Perseus, thank you for this series and the thought behind it. I feel any kind of communication in any field is extremely important. I think is the bedrock of what we do or whichever industry it is. And for me, being at sea, one of the challenges was multinational crew. So communication became a big issue for safe operations, where we would be sailing with Chinese, Malaysians, Polish officers, etc. So I can't really pinpoint a particular instance, but we learned that we had to make do with communication the way we could with the language barriers. And also, when I moved to training junior officers, I never had any training experience or teaching experience.
Sure.
So, to simplify a complex subject into easy to understand bites for the junior officers was again something challenging for me, and I had to learn how to put forth those ideas so the juniors could understand and take it ahead.
Correct. Thanks a lot for that, Abhijeet. That does make a lot of sense. Now, you having spent so much time being the COO of Qualitia Software and playing multiple roles here, I know you're involved on the recruitment side, mergers and acquisitions, expanding operations globally. Now, I'm sure you've been witness to how people grow within the organization. And in my personal experience, having spent about 19-20 years in the corporate world, I have seen a few behaviors. Now, people generally can be good at their job, so they can have good technical skills, good domain knowledge, right, good education qualification, and they do good, right, they're able to achieve their objectives and all of those things. But there are still a few challenges that these people face. Few of them include that they are not getting the kind of promotions that they really expect. They don't get the salary hikes that they think they truly deserve, and they're not able to land jobs in companies that they really want to work for. So in my personal experience, I feel that, of course, your work can do the talking, but beyond a certain point it won't. There has to be something else complementing it, right? So I think that a person requires more visibility, more exposure, so that at least the senior management even knows who these people are. So if they are good performers, do people in the organization even know that they exist and that they perform well, right? So how important do you think this visibility and exposure is for an employee in order for them to grow professionally within the organization and within their industry?
Excellent question. And I think one of the most important things one can do for themselves, for their progression, is advertise what they have done.
Correct.
Everybody does great work.
Yes.
In every organization, there are people who do hard, diligent, good work.
Yes.
Why they may not be noticed is probably because they are unable or shy
Correct.
communicate what they have done
Yeah.
to the managers or to their superiors.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It could
Yeah.
be because they are not confident in their communications. It
Yeah.
could be that they are not sure what is to be said.
Yes.
So in this particular scenario, I feel putting forth what they have done in a very
Mm.
clear, concise manner
Correct.
will make them stand out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Uh, it's common knowledge, somebody who can communicate well
Mm.
automatically appears intelligent. This
Yes.
is, yeah, it
Yeah.
appears that,
That's
oh,
that's a good point.
yeah,
That's a good point. Absolutely.
if
Yes.
you're in a group or you go to a party or
Yes.
wherever,
Yes.
somebody who's speaking well may
Yes.
not have great knowledge of the subject, but he or she is
Absolutely.
speaking well, stands out from
Mm.
in that group. They appear
Very true.
confident, they appear
Mm.
attractive as well.
Very
So
true.
yeah, and I feel good communication, and good communication is not
Yeah.
only about speaking.
Correct.
When I think of Qualitia, I see the product team, the developers.
Yeah.
When they write a code,
Mm.
that's a communication.
Yeah.
You know, they're writing a code so the program understands what is to be done.
Correct.
It's a kind of a communication. A
Correct.
sales head, and you were involved for a long period of time in
Absolutely.
sales, corporate sales.
Yes.
So yeah, you making a proposal, sending to a
Correct.
customer, potential client,
Right.
is a communication.
Absolutely.
The CEO doing all hands is
Mm.
a communication. There
Sure.
are so
Sure.
many layers of communications,
Absolutely.
and each
Absolutely.
one can think and customize it to
Correct.
what they want to say, how they want to say it, what should say
Correct.
it, what should be the content, etc.
Absolutely.
They can
Absolutely.
definitely stand out.
Very true, very true. And I honestly feel that when a person is moving up the ladder, when they get into those managerial roles, they become leaders at some point. But there's one skill that they take for granted sometimes, and that's the art of persuasion, public speaking. Because I think that as you grow up, you are required to be in front of people, you are required to inspire them, motivate them, persuade them to take some sort of an action. Then in my experience, when people come to me, they say that regardless of my so many years of experience, knowledge, and education, if I'm made to stand in front of people, as you correctly said, say during an all hands meet or a quarterly business review, or maybe in a conference, or maybe a customer presentations, I feel extreme anxiety and fear. And I personally feel the root cause of this problem is that they have taken the skill for granted. Most people in the professional world feel that I will learn the art of persuasion eventually because it'll come to me naturally at some point on this professional journey. So the mistake I feel they make is that, when they feel that they'll get an opportunity to go make a presentation somewhere that will serve the purpose of practice. Now, that is a wrong understanding because that is not a practice session. That is the moment of truth, right? So I always give the example of, say, Sachin. If he would have considered the actual match as the practice session, how would that work for him? But they practice before the match, right? They put in that deliberate practice. That is when something can change for them, right? I think that is the reason why when a speaking engagement lands their desk today, the natural reaction to that is avoidance, because maybe they're not very confident in their ability to do it, and maybe they will succeed at avoiding that engagement. But that, I think, is doing more harm than good, because had they taken it up and had they gone and delivered that talk somewhere, maybe their photograph could have been taken, their video could have been shot, they could have posted that on their LinkedIn profile. Now the senior management also saw what they did. Now, right, the way they represented the company, the products and services, now they see a leader in this person. People in the industry are seeing what you did. Now they put you on a pedestal, right? Because they're able to see a thought leader in you as an authority in your field. Now, how much of visibility that this person is losing out on simply because they avoid these speaking engagements. Do you agree with me that this is one of the main reasons why people stagnate despite of the fact that they are good performers? The only problem is that they're not visible to anybody. Do you think this is the main cause of it all?
I think you have touched upon that important salient point there,
Hmm.
is how much effort are we willing to put in preparation.
Correct.
What you rightly said, they will, or anyone will, take an opportunity given to them as practice session.
Correct.
But I know, and you're doing these series, how much preparation you need to
Correct.
make behind this presentation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not just about the editing, etc. It's the content. What are you going to say?
Absolutely.
Who are you going to invite? What are you going
Correct.
to ask them? What is the expectation? who's
Correct.
your audience. So much of thought goes behind it. And
Correct.
if you look at any leader, and I do not mean industry leader, I mean world leaders,
Correct.
the backgrounds they came from, the countries, the geographies, the languages.
Correct.
One thing that binds them is their knack of speaking, communication,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
talking their
Absolutely.
language, talking their ideas, taking their ideas
Right.
to the masses. And
Right.
I know I joke about this, but Hitler, for whatever he did,
Of course.
he was a phenomenal orator.
Sure was. Agreed.
And just words. He had never
Correct.
fought in a war. He had
Yes.
never done any
Correct.
anything. Example,
I
he was
agree.
not a physically stature. He was not a big
Yes.
person, but
Yeah.
he spoke and he led a
Influenced.
whole country. Absolute
Influenced.
influence.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Influence. Yes.
So that's communication.
Very true. Very true.
Very
You know,
strong.
I completely agree with you, Abhijit, because I sometimes think that people misunderstand this whole thing. I tell them that this is called the art of persuasion. It's not called the art of English fluency. They feel that just because they can't speak fluent English, or they feel that they make some grammatical errors or mispronounce few words, they can't be a great public speaker. Now, that's a mistake people are making.
Yes.
Because I can tell you with absolute certainty that language plays a role. It does, because it'll help you express yourself a little better, but it plays a small role. When it comes to effective communication, there are many more elements to it. And the first thing is all about understanding human psychology. If you understand what triggers inspiration in a human being, how does a person feel motivated, how does a person get influenced, so how do they feel persuaded, what are those essential elements that the talk requires, that would change their mental chemistry, creating a conducive environment where anything you say, the audience will become receptive to it, right?
Correct.
So the most influential speakers are those who are able to make the audience look at the world from their vantage point. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is called the power of influence and persuasion. So
Yeah.
I always try to explain this to people, that don't worry about this language problem of yours. That'll get fixed. You understand human psychology better, right? You
Correct.
understand the importance of structure. You understand the underlying principles that govern effective communication, which go way beyond language fluency, right? And that is when I think they start to realize that my work that I do here is not sufficient, because some people feel my work will do all the talking, so why I don't have to make a lot of noise. And but that's a mistake. So while you have great technical skills and great domain knowledge, I feel complementing soft skills, and especially the one human skill that I speak of, is the ability to communicate powerfully, to articulate your thoughts and ideas very effectively, be it to the senior management team, to investors, to customers, whoever it is. I think that kind of helps people progress to the next level in their career. Abhijit, do you agree that this is how
You
people
you
are able
touched
to look
upon
to excel?
another important point, and
Mhm.
as luck would have it, last week I was at a conference,
Okay.
and one of the speakers is a CTO,
Okay.
Chief Technical Officer of a large multinational
Okay.
with over 30 years of experience in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
He has authored 3 books.
Okay.
He's a guru of artificial intelligence.
Wow. Okay.
He's worked with Google, Microsoft, and
Okay.
he's basically the apps that we use today.
Okay.
He's one of the ones who has his hands into developing those.
Okay.
Uh,
Wonderful.
but he is extremely comfortable speaking in Hindi.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, and
Exactly my point.
yeah,
Yes.
and he in that session he spoke for about 40 minutes.
Correct.
He used Hindi probably 75% of the time
Fantastic.
for his anecdotes, his jokes,
Correct.
connecting with the audience.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter. And his presentation was
Exactly.
rather the slideshow was in English, but did he connect with us? Yes, of course he
Sure
connected
did.
with us.
That is what it is. Perfect. Perfect.
It's not
Great
about
point.
it's not about
Language.
language. Yeah, it's what
Perfect.
we are discussing is communication. It's not
Communication. Absolutely. So the principles will remain the same.
right.
Language is just a medium through which you're going to, share your thoughts and ideas. But what it takes to influence, what it takes to inspire and motivate has nothing to do with language. Right? So
Absolutely.
I hope that the viewers who are watching, that kind of makes sense to you. Also, definitely share a thought under the, in the comment section. What do you feel about this? Okay. So Abhijit, now moving to the next point. So we spoke about individual career growth. Let's talk about the organizational growth. Okay. Now, see, especially when it comes to mid-sized companies, SMEs, it's very evident sometimes that the only person who's extremely passionate and who's extremely sort of articulate when it comes to sharing the value proposition of the company or the vision of the company, it is generally speaking the founder of the company, right? And
Right.
these companies tend to struggle sometimes to find the right kind of salespeople as well, who are storytellers, who are able to sort of connect with their audiences and sort of do that kind of vision casting is what we call it, right? Where we are able to cast a vision onto people, where firstly you as the employee of the organization feel that passion, right, that the founder feels, and you kind of transmit that when you have a customer conversation. But what has been your experience? Do you feel that the inability of certain employees to communicate powerfully impacts the organization's success as well?
Yes, certainly. And I can speak from experience. We currently, Qualitia Software is in that stage where not just the sales, basically the business development team, the technical sales team, when they need to be great communicators.
Yeah,
Because like you said, it cannot only be the founder of the organization in every
correct.
conversation for a potential lead. It's not
Absolutely.
possible. It's not scalable.
Correct.
So storytelling, talking about not just the product or what you want to bring to the
Correct.
customer, but
Yes.
the thought behind it. Where
Absolutely.
did it, the genesis of it, where did it start?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
What do we expect to do? Where do we want to go? It's all
Absolutely.
part of the storytelling. And
Absolutely.
I mean, some people may disagree, but I feel understanding that product or that domain
Yes. Yes.
does play a bit of part. Like for
Yes.
example, I'm not a technical person, so
Yes.
for me to probably give that story background of a
Yes.
technical product will be
Mm-hmm.
challenging. I'll have to work on it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
if I have the passion, if I want to do this, I believe
Yes.
in this product,
Yes.
I have no choice uh,
Yes.
but
Yes.
to communicate this.
Absolutely. And I personally feel, and you can sort of share your thought after this, that I think every employee of an organization must care to spend a little bit of time with the founders. Try to understand what's their story. Why did they found why this company? Why this product? Why this service? Because I can tell you with absolute certainty, every company, every product, every brand, every founder has a story. So if you care to absorb that story and you take this story to a customer, see, the thing is that, like Simon Sinek says in his book, right, it's all about the why. So people focus on the what and the how, but if the founder has figured out the why, you absorb that why and you take that why to someone else, because that is what people are able to connect to. And I think people need to understand that it is not about the great product and the great company that people fall in love with. It's about people. It's a human to human connection. So today, if I represent maybe a top organization and I go and sit in front of a potential customer, the customer doesn't buy because of the product or the service. They actually buy if they like me. So my
Yes,
thinking is
very
that
correct.
if they like me, they will consider everything that stands behind me. You see, that
Yeah.
human to human connection, and that has a direct impact on the organization's success also, is what I think. So do you think it'll help if people consider spending a little bit of time with founders and understanding and grasping their stories and then taking those stories to the customers? Will that help them connect much better with them?
Precious, I feel it's not just the people who will go to the potential customer. It's
Everybody.
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 And
Absolutely.
as you are saying all this, I'm thinking of my own teams.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. Any organization, talent acquisition team,
Hmm.
is the first line of, I wouldn't say defense, but line that faces a particular joiner or a candidate.
Yeah.
They are the face of the company.
Correct.
If
Correct.
they can speak to this candidate on
Correct.
a cold call
Correct. Correct.
and put forth the idea behind the organization,
Correct.
behind the product,
Correct.
behind the role
Correct.
in maybe 5 lines,
Absolutely.
yeah, which needs a
Hmm.
lot of work to do,
It does.
yeah,
Yeah,
to hold
sometimes.
hold on to this
Hmm.
candidate's
Hmm.
interest, yeah,
Yes.
attention.
Very true. Correct.
So,
Yeah.
and then you have that person, and they probably will come back for a second round or a call or a
Sure.
meeting, etc.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's anyone. anyone.
I
So
completely agree with you. And
outward
I think
facing organization, yeah, anybody
very
in the
true.
organization talking to an external
Very true.
party
Very true.
needs to
I
be
think people have this one challenge that I am not so confident when it comes to talking to customers. I'll tell you the main reason, and I tell this to all my community members, okay, that there is that one secret ingredient. If you admire a speaker who's able to influence, who's able to motivate, who executes a lot of confidence on the platform, I tell them there is something that is acting as fuel that keeps the fire burning. And that is the passion. It is the emotional connection to whatever it is that they do, right? So now, when we are working for a company, it is very essential that we get our thought process in alignment with the founder's thought process. So when we absorb that story, we absorb the person's passion for doing what he or she has done, and we start to internalize those things. And as we gather specialized knowledge around the service and the product, and we over time become good at it, passion simply is a result of mastery, in my opinion. So when you become a master at what you do, the passion will simply shine forth. And that passion is actually the fuel that keeps the fire burning inside. When you're passionate about the company, the product, and the service, or whatever it is that you do, you will automatically be able to execute confidence, in my personal opinion. Would you agree to that, Abhijit? Do you
completely,
think that makes
completely.
sense?
If you have a hobby, anyone, yeah,
Mm.
I have a couple of hobbies, and if
Yeah.
somebody gets me started
Yeah.
on, oh, what do you do,
Correct.
and I can speak for hours. Yeah.
Absolutely. Something you're
So,
passionate about.
yeah,
Very
something
true.
you're passionate about, and it's a hobby.
Very true. Very true.
Similarly, people have other hobbies. If you
Yeah.
ask somebody about a hobby or an interest,
Yeah.
they are without preparation able to speak about
Yeah.
it,
Very true.
articulate it, clarify it to
Very
anyone
true.
at any time.
Very true.
It's the same
Very
thing.
true.
It's the passion that you feel for something.
Passion.
So,
Correct.
work when you're at work, and
Mm.
that's what is that you need to do get
Yeah.
done. Then
Yes.
having that bit of commitment, that passion,
Yes.
will build
Yes.
that confidence. You
Very
mentioned
true.
confidence here in when it comes to
Yeah.
communication. I feel it's a circle.
Yes.
People feel, oh, you have to be born with confidence to communicate well.
No,
Not necessary.
not
You
at all. Very
you
true.
can do the other way. You start communicating, it builds
Absolutely.
confidence,
Absolutely.
and that
Absolutely.
confidence will make you a better communicator.
Absolutely.
That builds more confidence.
Absolutely.
So it's just a
Absolutely.
circle. So you can
Very
do it
true.
both ways. Yeah.
Yeah. There was an interesting book I had read. It's called So Good They Can't Ignore You. It's by Cal Newport. He's the same author of the book Deep Work. Okay. He's a professor at the Harvard Business School. This book is so amazing where he's actually busting the passion mindset, right? Most people have this misconception, he says, that passion is something that they are born with, and they have to really go out there in the world looking for a job that matches their passion, and that is their recipe to live happily ever after. But that's a perfect recipe for disaster, he says, because you're starting from the wrong end of the tunnel. He says that passion is not something that was given to you at birth. Passion is something that is a result of mastery, he says. So if you're reasonably interested in something, so for example, a person joins Qualitia software, maybe as an intern fresh out of college, they've got reasonable interest in, say, artificial intelligence and machine learning. Now, if they care to grab or gather specialized knowledge in this particular field over time, where they get hands on, they get relevant experience, and eventually they become master at this craft of theirs, right? This mastery eventually leads them to become passionate about what they do. So that is the recipe, apparently, to become passionate about something. So he gave the example of Steve Jobs, and he says that Steve Jobs was not always passionate about technology. If you asked him to follow his passion in his very early years, he would have done something very different. But later, when he got some reasonable interest on technology side, he gathered some specialized knowledge and some relevant experience, and he did what he had to do, and that is how he grew into passion. He became passionate about what he was doing. Do you think this makes sense, and do you think this can help the younger people start becoming more passionate about what they do at work?
Definitely. Understanding what you're doing,
Yeah.
why you're doing it, will build that confidence. If you're
Absolutely.
if you're working or doing things in a silo or in your
Absolutely.
own corner, not understanding how what you do fits into the bigger picture,
Correct.
there will always be a lag, there will always be a mismatch,
Sure.
and will build a bit of frustration. Will
Absolutely.
your confidence will take
Absolutely.
a knock.
Absolutely.
So it's
Absolutely.
all interrelated, and it's it's not just the communication part or the language or who do I
Yes.
say and what do I say it.
Correct.
It's everything. It's what
Very
you
true.
do.
Correct.
So
Very
we are talking
absolutely.
about a professional setup here. So
Very true.
what
Very
do we
true.
do and why do we do it?
Absolutely. This journey is all about transforming from the inside out. It's not only about some surface level transformation where some people feel that they'll do like a crash course in English and they'll be the best communicators in the world. But that doesn't cut it. You've got to really become that person, right? So when we say you have to live your 10x identity, when you are inspired as a person yourself, only will you then be in a position to inspire another human being, right? So that's what it is all about. So coming to a slightly separate topic, Abhijit, where we're seeing so much of advancements in artificial intelligence, and I feel that the future job market is going to change. Now, of course, I'm not trying to say that jobs will not remain and there won't be any jobs for people. I just have this opinion that different type of jobs are going to come into the market now. Because with artificial intelligence on the rise, all the repetitive tasks are going to be automated. So the typical 9 to 5 thing that people do and they keep repeating those things, that might not be required. I feel what jobs are required now are for people who are able to develop certain human skills that a machine cannot replicate. So, one's ability to sort of leverage technology and orchestrate things, manage people, inspire them, motivate them, influence them, and get the job done, right? Do you think that this shift or the rise in AI is going to bring about a massive change in terms of the expectations of these potential employers now?
Yeah, when you say AI, I think you're speaking to the wrong person. But let me just I'll give you an example.
Hmm.
I remember this was 1996,
Okay.
and I just returned from one of my ships, and
Hmm.
I met a friend, and we were discussing something about she was setting up a house and she wanted a washing machine, and
Hmm.
she told me she used a word called fuzzy logic. This is
Okay.
1996. Now
Okay.
I had no
Hmm.
clue about what fuzzy logic
Hmm.
was,
Hmm.
and I asked her what that. So she said that machine detects
Hmm.
the status of the soiled clothes, etc., and
Correct.
decides how much
Wow.
water, how much soap to
Hmm.
dispense into the cycle.
Correct.
And I laughed. This is I'd never heard of anything like. I said,
Right.
how is a machine going to know how dirty my
Hmm.
shirt is? And I laughed at it. And today, fuzzy logic is in every appliance,
Absolutely.
absolutely in every
Absolutely.
appliance. Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe our understanding of what AI will do,
Hmm.
or how it will impact the professional world,
The job market as such. Yeah.
probably I'm not sure right now. But
Hmm.
like you said, some jobs are already being impacted, like
Yeah.
content creation, etc.
Correct. Correct.
Is getting impacted by AI.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of repetitive tasks, like you said, and actually
Will be
Qualitia
automated. Yeah.
itself is a tool which uses
Correct.
a native AI. So
Yeah.
where a
Yeah.
lot of repetitive steps in
Yes.
test automation are being taken care
Correct.
of. So
Correct.
AI is here to stay, certainly. But one
Yes.
thing I feel is a human decision,
Absolutely.
that we make any decision, is
That's
based
exactly
on
my
a
point.
lot of experience of our own,
Yes.
our
Yes.
memories,
Yes.
our environment, how we
Yes.
grew up,
Yes.
our knowledge, education, everything.
Correct. Correct.
That decision, I do not think is
Yes.
easily
Not
replicable right
possible.
now,
Agreed. Agreed.
as of now, unless the machines
Yes.
start understanding
Yeah.
feelings and
Exactly my point. Very
yeah,
important. See,
emotions.
that's
Yeah.
what I said, right? That it's about human skills, correct? So I think employers are going to value, even they are going to value this now more than ever before, because a machine cannot have those emotions. A machine doesn't have emotional intelligence as such, right? A machine doesn't understand and can't manage its own emotions. It doesn't have any, right? So when a human being is able to know what kind of emotions they have, they can manage their own emotions, only then can they manage another person's emotion, correct? So that is what I feel, that considering that all of the all, if not all, many tasks will be automated in the future. So potential employers are going to need people with those very high human skills. One of them being powerful communication, being able to connect with people, getting the job done. So emotional intelligence, empathy, adaptability, all those things I think are going to play a very, very important role, because the number of employees that will be required might become less, but the quality of that employment is going to be different, or at least in terms of the expectation. So what is your one advice to people, who are currently maybe focusing most part of their time in just enhancing their domain knowledge and their technical skills? Would you advise them to also focus a little more on developing their personality? And most importantly, would how would you advise them to sort of enhance their ability to communicate more powerfully? Do you advise them to take up some pointed courses? Do you advise them to be in the company of people who communicate well? What do you think can really help people who are looking to be or aspiring leaders who want to become powerful communicators? Anything?
I feel this is a very specific question, and a response to this again would come from my experience
Sure.
more than me being in coaching like you are in this
Absolutely.
space.
Absolutely.
Of my communication skills, I feel got better because I read a lot.
Oh,
One of
yes.
the things I read
Yes.
when I was young, about 5 6 years, I started reading
Yes.
these English novels, which were like these detective stories, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, and
Yes.
all
Hmm.
those.
Hmm.
And my English, my communication, my understanding of
Hmm.
grammar comes from all of that. I watch a lot of movies, Hindi,
Yes.
English,
Yes.
sometimes dubbed
Yeah.
South Indian movies also.
Yes.
Again, I'm not saying you have to do this, but what I'm saying, I'm just
Yes.
telling you my experience,
It
and
does help.
yeah, it helps.
Yes.
It helps. You hear
Agreed.
words.
Yes.
Recently, actually, one of my teammates printed a poster in
Hmm.
office for to be
Yeah.
something about unneeded documents.
Okay.
I had never heard the word unneeded. I'm 53 years old, and
Hmm.
I've never heard the word unneeded,
Hmm.
and I've thought this was a error.
Hmm.
And but then I went back and I checked.
Hmm.
Unneeded means needless, something which is
Hmm.
not needed, and it's a
Right.
word. It's properly used
Correct.
English word. It's in the dictionary. So
Right.
it's as simple as that.
Right.
Wherever that source is from, but
Hmm.
simple things.
Correct. I
For
agree.
me, yeah, for me, if you have to get better, I think you need to spend time with people who communicate well, uh,
Absolutely.
speak well,
Absolutely.
who are clear in their thoughts.
Absolutely.
Observe them, uh,
Yes.
definitely observe them, what they do,
Yes.
and then of course hone up on your skills of
Absolutely.
saying things, writing
Very true.
down your thoughts,
Correct.
writing down a journal,
Yes.
making an
Yeah.
effort next day to utilize what you wrote down
Absolutely.
in your stand up call, in your meeting, in your presentation.
Yes.
You have an opportunity once a week maybe to do a
Yes.
weekly review, monthly review.
Yes.
Use that opportunity,
Absolutely.
present data in a manner which is easy to
Hmm.
understand. That is communication.
Correct. Correct. Very true. Very true.
Just off to the side, I feel, I don't know how many, I mean, you probably watch a lot of stand-up comedy. I feel
Hmm.
stand-up comedians are the kings of
Yes.
communication, kings and
Communication.
queens.
Absolutely.
Huh?
Yes.
They have
Hmm.
to be intelligent
Yeah.
because they have context of what's happening around the world. They are
Correct.
well read, very well read.
Yes.
They need to know exactly what the audience is like. Yeah.
Yes.
They're standing on a stage with a mic,
Yes.
and fine, few things are rehearsed.
Hmm.
They worked on the jokes, but
Correct.
when they work the crowd, crowd work, for
Correct.
example, that's like a sales head talking to customers.
Absolutely.
Potential 10 customers are sitting in front of him or her. You're
Hmm.
working that crowd,
Yes.
right? So you have to be ahead, 5 steps, 5 jokes ahead.
Absolutely.
You see somebody
Absolutely.
walking in with a weird looking scarf. These
Very
guys are
true.
ready to make a fancy joke about it. They are
Very
just
true.
so fast, so quick.
Very true. Very
So
true.
for me, I look up to stand-up comedians a lot, and I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. Not to learn anything; it's just
Yes.
entertainment. But I'm
Entertainment, but
amazed
yeah,
by
but
the
great
way their
observation,
brain
of course.
works. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
It's a
their social
perfect,
skills.
very true. I think it's a perfect example of preparation. There's one thing I always tell my community members, that if you want to be fluent on the platform, and when I say fluent, I don't mean language fluency. I talk about the very fact that you're able to speak without fumbling, without going blank, without feeling those typical symptoms of stage fright, right? That is fluency. Now, some people feel that if I have the knowledge, I'll be able to go and talk. But knowledge alone is not sufficient to go and share with the
Yeah.
audience. Okay. So there's another element that comes here, and that is practice. If
Yes.
you are used to delivering what you know, you're able to do it even better. So that preparation element comes into the picture, which you very well highlighted, Abhijit. So preparation is very important, you said. Being in the right proximity, being in proximity to the right kind of people, because I think it's a simple law of nature. You become like the people you spend a lot of time with, right?
Yes.
See, I mean, I tell people, why don't we let our kids play with the wrong kind of kids? Because we know they'll become like them, correct? And the worst part is that it's not even in their conscious awareness.
Yes.
So let's use this to our advantage. We want to become powerful speakers. We have to be in close proximity to people who currently are those kind of communicators who have a very expansive identity, because their energy starts to rub off onto you. That is what it is all about. So
Yes.
it was absolutely wonderful, Abhijit. I am so happy that I was able to have this conversation with you. I truly appreciate you going out of your way, coming to the office, and doing this with us. And I'm sure that our viewers have also found it extremely inspiring. So I would really encourage all our viewers to share their thoughts and the comments under this video. Do like it, do share it, and follow us for more, because we'll keep coming back with these interviews, and we'll be talking to a lot of interesting people just like Abhijit. So if you liked what you saw, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and do share your thoughts in the comment section. Until then, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.